My name is Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a really great program lined up for you. We're going to be talking about building resilience with the use of now I'm forgetting my words. Um, Self-compassion. There's the words we've got. All right, and we've got Cheryl here from the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness here to tell us how to do that. I'm so excited to have you here today, Cheryl, with everything going on and getting canceled with COVID. It's a really great pleasure to have you here this way. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started. You can hear me well, I hope.
Yes, perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this presentation on mindful self-compassion. I am from the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness. I teach at the Center for Mindfulness, Mindful Parenting, and I also teach youth, such as middle school and high school, mindfulness and mindful self-compassion. We offer a number of programs that help us get through these days that we've been having. I know all of us are probably having some struggles right now, and that is something we all have in common. So I hope tonight to give you just little bits of information about mindfulness, and then some practices that we can do. And at the very end, there'll be ways that you can contact me if you choose. So here's what I hope to accomplish today. We're going to take a look at mindfulness. And as I mentioned, these will be brief overviews. And we will also do a few practices. I could talk about mindfulness forever, but if we don't try it, if you don't do it, you're not going to really understand anything about it and its benefits. We will also talk about the brain and how mindfulness helps shape it or connect it or build new connections and build resilience. And then I will move into a bit more on mindful self-compassion, which for a lot of folks, we don't even really know what that means. And so tonight, I hope that you'll understand what it means and perhaps a few practices involved with that as well. We'll take a moment to notice our inner critic and how busy that is, policing us around and criticizing us. And then we'll finish with something called loving kindness. So that's our program for this evening, and I will begin. So, as was mentioned in the introduction, if there was ever a time to learn and practice mindfulness, it is now. We have so many challenges going on in our lives. We have COVID, we have our political environment, we have educational things going on, work things, employment issues, so many things that it's easy to get flooded. So mindfulness is here to help us figure out how we can navigate that with a little bit more calm and a little bit more clarity. We'll turn our attention to what is happening in the present moment. And this is with honesty and kindness. And so we try to replace non-judgment with curiosity. Once we have noticed our present reality, we can use self-compassion to learn to care for ourselves. So that's the big picture of where we're heading for this. But first, let's begin with a short grounding guided practice. And when I say that, the purpose of that is to just experience what it's like. And because I'm assuming many of you have never tried this before, and what you need to be able to do is be able to simply sit up straight in your chair. Hopefully you're in a semi-quiet place, wherever that might be, a place that you can listen and participate without being bothered too much. And your feet are on the floor, if you can reach the floor. And you can allow the chair to support your back, and your hands can be in your lap. And then if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. So settle yourself in. Probably before we get started, I don't know what your day has been like today, but maybe you need just a titch of movement before we really begin this guided practice. So let's take a moment to stretch your arms up and to give a big, deep breath in. And when you exhale, bringing your arms back down on the chair, maybe the arms of the chair, the sides of the chair. And then breathe in as you twist to the right. And out as you come back center. And then breathe in again as you twist to the left. And then exhale as you come back to the center. And maybe just another stretch up with a nice big deep breath in. And then exhale, letting your arms rest back in your lap. And now we're ready to begin. With your eyes closed, feet on the ground, sitting upright. Begin with a long, deep breath in, filling your belly into your chest, feeling the expansion, and when you're ready, letting it go. And then again, a deep breath in, filling your belly, moving the air into your chest, allowing that expansion to be there. And when you're ready, let it go. One more deep breath in, filling, expanding, bringing in that fresh energy. And when you're ready, you can let it go again. Maybe allowing just yourself to soften a little and settle into your chair a little bit more. Now you can return your breath just to the way your body knows how to breathe. No need to guide it or force it. Just allow yourself to breathe in and breathe out. In and out. Feeling the rise with your inhale and the letting go with your exhale. Almost like you are being rocked on a wave or an ocean or a lake. Feeling that rhythm of in and out. Paying attention to your breath. Now bring your attention into your feet, feeling your feet on the ground, whether you have shoes on or your bare feet or socks. The ground, its texture, its temperature, allowing your feet to rest comfortably. Even noticing if there's any sensations present, tingling, warmth, coldness. And continue with your breath in and your breath out. Noticing where your attention might be drawn. And each time your attention is carried away, bring your attention back to your breath or back to your feet. Breathing in, breathing out. Now just notice, how are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts? Whatever it is, it's good, it's okay, it's what it is. Just notice it, and then return to your breath in and breath out. Now I'm going to invite you to take one final deep breath in and out. And then get ready to open your eyes and come back into this present moment with me. And take a moment to reflect how that went for you. Was it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Did it help? Just notice, and we'll continue on. You've just experienced a bit of mindfulness. You did it. So here's what it is. It's the practice of paying attention to the present moment on purpose with curiosity, kindness, and patience. Now that sounds kind of easy, but actually it's a lifelong journey. It's something we practice and practice just as if we were exercising and lifting weights and building that muscle. The more we practice, the more our mindfulness muscle is built, the more we can focus our attention. I often use this puppy dog here because a lot of us can relate to having raised a puppy. And we know that they're cute and adorable and huggable and we love them. But if we don't train them, they can really cause a mess, ruin things, eat stuff up, destroy things. So some of us may have experienced what that's like as well. And our brain is much like that. If we don't learn how to train our mind runs away, creates messes, creates stories that we end up believing, and then it becomes just a cascade of thoughts and stories and strong emotions that sweep through us over and over again. So, the reason why mindfulness is so helpful is it shines the spotlight on whatever that mental thought activity is. And it helps us understand that we're carried away, probably in an unhelpful way. Let's usher our attention back to our breath, letting go of this time travel that we're doing. So I have the little signs here, the past, the now, and the future, to help us remember that mindfulness tries to help us live in the present moment. And think about our body can only live in the present moment. We don't know how to time travel yet our mind is an expert at time travel. We're constantly back in the past, worrying or dredging up things that didn't go well, or we're in the future, predicting, waiting, worrying. So when we get caught up in this past and future thinking, that is where stress lies. So the power of mindfulness is to usher our attention back over and over and over again to our breath, to this present moment, to where our body lives. And the more we do that, that's how we build the muscle of mindfulness. So let's give it a try. Because this is going to be such a short little intro on mindfulness, there's a lot I won't be able to cover with you. But you should know that mindfulness is based on training of using our senses as our primary data. So what I mean by that is our senses involved mindful eating, mindful walking, mindful seeing, mindful listening. All of our senses we can do mindfully, which means we can pay attention on purpose and see what we notice. So we get out those curious minds and we start just looking, listening, noticing what's really there, not what we imagine, what we think is there, but what is really observable, what we can really see or hear. So here's our experiment. I am going to time you, and we're going to do something called mindful listening. And you're going to listen for 1 minute to the sounds in the room. Whatever sounds are present, listen for them. For 1 minute, I will start you and I will stop you. And at the end of that minute, I'll invite you to notice, what did you hear? And what else did you notice while you were mindfully listening? All right, so let's give that a try. Let's begin mindful listening, paying attention on purpose to the sounds in the room. Let's go. If it helps you to close your eyes while you do this, go ahead and do that. All right, stop. Think, what did you hear? I'll give an example. At the very end, I heard a siren and a loud horn. But if I was going to explain this mindfully, I would say I heard a startling rumble and a high-pitched scream. I also heard roars from passing cars. So what did you hear? And would you typically take the time to listen to those sounds, or would you be tuned out into other things? That's mindful listening. Imagine if we were to listen mindfully to one another for just a minute, what a change that would make with our relationships with others. Let's try mindful seeing in much the same way. And this time, I'm going to invite you to find an object in the room that you're going to study. Now, if there's a person in the room, you could pick a person. So you could do that as well. And you're simply going to notice everything you can, as if when I stopped, you could draw this and describe it so fully that I would know what it was you were studying. So you might notice the color, the texture, the shapes, the lines, all of those things. If we were doing this live, I might have you describe it. Mindful seeing. Let's try it. Begin. And let's stop. So, in your mind, describe to yourself, what did you see? Even close your eyes right now and see if you can describe it. I'll give you an example. I observed a vase with dried hydrangeas in it and red sticks. And so I might say red, graceful lines, clumps, rust, fluffy, concave. So describing all of that. Notice what you're able to describe. Mindful seeing, mindful listening, mindful seeing. You can eat mindfully as well. We often introduce mindful eating with eating a raisin. So if you were taking one of our classes, you would experience that. So let's take a look at what mindfulness isn't. We know we're trying to stay in the present moment, not in the past and future. So what it is not is a religion. You can practice any religion, have any religion, and still practice mindfulness, because mindfulness is a science. It's something that's been studied for 30 to 40 years now, and it's very conclusive, all of the benefits that one can get from practicing mindfulness. It is not a relaxation technique, although often people report feeling relaxed, and with some of what we do, it does calm you. Primary purpose is not to do that. It is to train your brain. It is not a new agey, ooey gooey thing. Again, it has science backing it. It's not a magic wand. All of your problems won't go away if you practice this, but it will diminish your problems a great deal, and it will help you gain perspective and clarity to help you solve those problems. We are not trying to empty our mind or chase away thoughts. That's not the point of it. We're simply observing, as if maybe we were sitting in a movie theater observing the movie, or we were outside by a river watching the river of thoughts go by. We're trying to become an observer instead of immersed in it. And it's not autopilot, which means we do all kinds of things without really thinking about it, such as washing our hair, taking out the garbage, washing dishes. Which is good to have habits that we don't have to relearn over and over again. But when we get carried away on autopilot, we are not in the present moment. We are being carried away. And they say that adults, we probably spend 50% of each day in autopilot, not really present, not really knowing with clarity what's happening, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're behaving. So literally, as I've been saying, mindfulness will train your mind. and it changes your brain. There's a science called neuroplasticity. So if anyone's interested in the study of the brain, which I think is fascinating, you can go and look up neuroplasticity. It's this idea that as you practice mindfulness, you literally rewire your brain. So consider the neurons and synapses in your brain like highways. The idea being the more you practice one thing, the stronger and bigger your highway gets. So if you have a good habit going, like healthy eating or exercising, then you're going to have an easier time accessing that because you've developed this habit, because your neuron has grown to accommodate that kind of traffic. However, it also works in the opposite direction. Let's say you're carried away by anxiety or carried away and consumed by negative thinking or by your inner critic. That is also a big highway, and that is what's going to rule you. Mindfulness helps us little by little by little shrink out the unhealthy pieces that we've noticed and grow the parts that would be more healthy and more beneficial for us. So let's take a brief look at our brain because, this is simplistic for all of you doctors and nurses and scientists out there, but it's basic and it helps us understand. So what's important to understand with mindfulness is that we have an amygdala, which is left over from prehistoric days. And this amygdala acts as our security guard. And it's only capable of fight, flight, fold, or freeze. That's what it does when it's activated. So this is problematic as we go throughout our day. When we become activated, we unconsciously react with fight, flight, fold, or freeze responses. So we might say things, we might do things, and if we're, young children even come unglued and they do some hitting. That's part of the amygdala. We do this unconsciously. Our amygdala is there to keep us safe, and that is its job. However, it does and can overreact because of repetitive patterns that we might have. So whenever a strong emotion comes up, for instance, our amygdala is activated. Or whenever strong thinking, fear, our amygdala is activated. The beauty of mindfulness is with some breath training, we can bring that amygdala back to its place online. And with that is the part of our brain, which is like the big CEO of our brain. It's the higher level thinking skill. This is how we've evolved, shown with our forehead here. So this is where we can plan, we can compare and contrast, we can analyze all of the good problem solving skills that we need to have. However, when our amygdala takes over, thinks we're in trouble or in danger, the prefrontal cortex is disactivated and the amygdala is in charge. The hippocampus works in a similar fashion. This is our memory area. So it might play out when we have to give a presentation or when we are in the middle of something like sports or a recital or something where we're doing that type of a presentation. Fear arises, our hippocampus deactivates, amygdala takes over, and now it's like deer in the headlights. We've forgotten what we knew and what we needed to do. So it's important to understand that this is the power of mindfulness. We can learn to calm the amygdala and bring the prefrontal cortex back online, creating a way for us to more calmly respond to situations that cause us stress. This quote really illustrates this. There is a space between stimulus and response, and that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Frankl, survivor of the Holocaust. So what we are literally trying to do with mindfulness is to little by little by little create more space between the amygdala that wants to react with fight, flight, freeze, so that we give ourselves time, a pause, a breath, to increase this time so that we have the access and the chance to access our prefrontal, our wise leader. So mindfulness, in a nutshell then, is being able to be in the present moment. And we practice this with our meditations, mindful breathing, mindful eating, mindful seeing, mindful listening. And the more we practice mindfulness, the more clarity and calm it can bring. So here is an overview of the difference between the two. I'm moving into mindful self-compassion now. So mindfulness, again, helps us develop the skill of noticing or observing with kindness and curiosity what is happening in real time. So it brings our thoughts, our emotions, and behaviors into our consciousness. In the education world, this is called metacognition. This idea that we're aware of what we're thinking, we're aware of what we're doing. So much of the time we live in autopilot that we don't have a clue what we're thinking or what we're feeling. We forget that our whole body is attached to our head. We can walk around, as I joke, I used to be a talking head. So we try to be in our body, notice what's happening to us. And that will help us signal feelings and thoughts in times when we might be feeling really stressed. And once we have the tools to understand that, or the spotlight that shines its attention on it, then we can turn to mindful self-compassion. Mindful self-compassion is the idea that once we understand our thoughts, emotions, and behavior, we can make choices on how to best proceed and take care of ourselves. This eventually leads to the ability to reach out to others in a compassionate way. And when I teach mindful parenting, I always say you have to put on your own life vest first before you can help your family. So often in our society, we're taught that we need to just do for others and forget about ourselves. So often we're at the bottom of the barrel. Instead, I'd like to suggest that we go to the top, that we take that time on a daily basis to check in with ourselves, to practice our mindfulness so we can figure out what we need, we can figure out more of what we're feeling, and then what we can do to help ourselves along the way. Mindfulness, being in the present moment, being able to observe what's happening, and mindful self-compassion being the tools. What do we need to take care of ourselves? So let's give this a try. There are 3 components to mindful self-compassion, and I'm going to have you all participate with this a moment. I'd like you to take your hands out in front of you, and I don't know if you can see my hands or not, but I'd like for you, your arms are reaching straight out in front of you, and I would like you to start squeezing your fists as tight as you can. I want you to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't stop squeezing. Squeeze those hands. Notice not only maybe are your fingernails digging into your hands, but maybe your arms are getting tighter. Maybe your face is all tight. Maybe the rest of your body is tight. Maybe you've even stopped breathing. Keep squeezing. Now, go ahead and release. Notice when you were squeezing your hand, how that was rather painful and it created your whole body to be tight and tense. That's what we do to ourselves whenever we criticize ourselves, whenever our negativity bias is activated. The opposite of that is when our hands are open, and this represents mindfulness. This idea of open awareness, so like we're almost inviting in so we can see and hear and notice what's happening in our world and what's happening to us. So that part is mindfulness, developing that observation, that openness, that receptivity. Now take your hands almost out to your sides, almost as if you're going to stand in a circle and join hands with others. In fact, the picture shows you that they're in a circle with hands. Notice that we are reaching out. Notice we are connected. Notice this is like more of an even bigger invitation to either bring in or extend out. This is this idea of common humanity, this idea that we are all connected. We are always connected. Every single human being in this world is connected energetically. This is really helpful to understand because often when we're struggling, we feel like we're the only ones and that we're all alone. And sometimes there's even shame involved. If anybody knew what was really happening with me. So that common humanity is a very powerful piece. This understanding that we're all humans. We all have the same needs. We have the same feelings in order to have a happy life. We all want to be happy. We all want to be free from suffering. In today's age, when there's so much polarity, this is a really important lesson to understand. It doesn't matter because we're all humans. We have so much more in common than we do differences. Even though it doesn't feel that way right now, mindfulness and mindful self-compassion will help us understand that concept a little bit more, to open our hearts a little bit more, maybe to bring that understanding for others a little bit more. So we have mindfulness, we have common humanity, and then if you will take your hands and place them on your heart, this is self-kindness. This is that idea. How can we treat ourselves well? How can we take good care of ourselves? When we know we're suffering and struggling and having a rough time, how can we take care of ourselves? And mindful self-compassion teaches us practices to do this. So we bring the awareness of mindfulness in. We bring the understanding that we're never alone. We're all together in this. We can reach out for help and know we are not alone. And then what can we do? We can practice self-kindness. So another little review of that to help you remember the three big ideas of self-compassion when we teach it in a full series would be mindfulness, common humanity, and then the self-kindness. So let's try it. This is a guided practice called How Would I Treat a Friend? You can see Winnie the Pooh there is saying, we'll be friends forever, won't we, Pooh? Asked Piglet. Even longer, Pooh answered. So again, if I can invite you to sit upright in your chair, having your feet touching the ground, hands in your lap. Eyes can be closed or gazing at an object if that's easier and better for you. Let's begin this guided practice. Take a deep breath in. And then out. Take another deep breath in. Breathing in fresh air, fresh energy. Filling your lungs, almost like a massage. And then go ahead and let it go. Taking another deep breath in. As long and big as you like, and holding it as long as you like. And then exhale, letting it all go. Now you can drop your breath back into a normal breathing pattern, allowing your body to breathe as it knows how. Breathing in, breathing out, in and out. Feeling the gentle waves of your breath. Perhaps there's even a rhythm of in and out. You can even say that to yourself. In and out. In and out. Noticing your breath, the pathway it takes as it enters and leaves your body. If your mind gets carried away with thinking and thoughts, that's all right. That's what minds do. Just gently usher your attention back to your breath. And we do that over and over and over again. Our attention wanders. We bring our attention back to our breath. That is mindfulness. That is how you build your mindfulness muscle. In and out. Now let's feel our feet on the ground. Sensations like temperature, texture, maybe even tingling or pulsing. Feeling your feet on the ground as you breathe in and breathe out. Now feel the points of contact on the chair. Notice how the chair supports you. Now let's move on. I'm going to invite you to think of a fairly common occurrence, such as trouble at work. Bring to mind a situation that happened to a friend or a family member, not to yourself, to a friend or a family member, something that caused them some distress. Not a lot, major, but some. So think of a fairly common occurrence, such as having trouble at work, trouble with a colleague or a boss, receiving an unfair evaluation, or hearing unkind comments made. Or perhaps it's difficulty with a family member, a spouse, a partner, or something that was disappointing, such as not doing as well as you wished, or something like even dropping a cell phone and breaking it, or losing it. So bring a situation, first bring a friend to mind that had this situation happen to them. Notice and picture, bring an image of this person to your mind. As you breathe in and you breathe out. And get the picture or the situation in your mind that occurred to your friend. Notice how you are feeling inside towards this friend as a result of this incident. Take a moment to notice and pay attention to how you would treat a friend in this situation. What would you say to them? What would you do to them or for them? What advice would you have? Continue with your breath in and your breath out as you notice this situation and your friend. You can bring to your attention the feelings that you're having because of your friend's situation. And even be curious and see where in your body these feelings might be. Belly, chest, head, throat. Maybe even whatever thoughts you might be having about the situation. Noticing the general tone of what you would do and say to help your friend. Continuing with your breath in and your breath out. You can even place a hand on your heart to just simply anchor this feeling that you have of helpfulness, perhaps, or love towards this friend. If you'd like, you can keep your hands there or drop them to your lap as we continue on now. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, imagine the same situation happened to you that happened to your friend. Now, how are you feeling? Where in your body are you feeling it? What are the thoughts that occur to you? No need to censor the thoughts, it's all okay. What are you telling yourself? What is your inner self-talk? We continue in with our breath in and our breath out. Name the feelings that you're having now for yourself. Notice if they're any different than what you told your friend. Breathing in and breathing out. Did you comfort yourself like you did your friend, or did you have harsh words? This may bring to your attention how we treat ourselves compared to our own friends. So, can we be a friend to ourselves? Can we treat ourselves just as well as we would treat a friend? Now, go ahead and take another deep breath in. Open your eyes when you're ready. Just take a moment to reflect. How does this land for you? How does this fit for you? Would this benefit you in some way? And we'll move on to see what we might be able to do. So, can we learn to treat ourselves like our own best friend? What gets in the way of that? Well, first of all, we have an inner critic or that inner bully who like to belittle us, put us down, call us names. If we treated our friends like that, we would not have any friends. Yet, those thoughts just rumble continuously through our minds when things don't go the way we wish they would. So, can we bring mindfulness? Can we bring our attention to those thoughts? So then we can start letting them go and letting them lose their power over us. Can we find ways to be kind to ourselves? Can we be compassionate to ourselves just as if we were compassionate to our best friend? That is the work of mindful self-compassion. We know that this inner critic causes us all kinds of trouble, suffering, unhappiness. It certainly doesn't help us. Studies have been done because many people feel like if they'll lose their edge if they don't have this inner critic running all the time. And actually, the studies have shown that it doesn't help. It hurts. We have to work twice as hard than if we were kind to ourselves. So we do have a couple of other practices that we can try, just as an example, whenever we notice we're having a rough time. And of course, the key is using mindfulness to notice when things aren't going well. And by going well, I mean it doesn't have to be a major blow up catastrophe. It could be little microaggressions throughout the day, little things that happen that just cause us to react like that. Those too can be considered suffering. Enough of those little tiny things is what causes us all to explode. So it is the small pieces. So one of the things we can do is called soothing touch. So we're going to try this together. You can close your eyes or not. It's totally up to you. But the idea is that we release oxytocin with touch. So let's try a variety of things to see if any of these work for you or fit for you. I'm going to have you begin by taking your hands and just cupping your face and allowing your head to just rest heavily onto your hands. Notice how that feels as you breathe in and breathe out. You might notice the warmth, the support, maybe other sensations. See how this lands for you. Taking a breath, we can move our hand to our chest as we did earlier, or both hands. You can experiment. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling our heartbeat, noticing warmth that might be present. Breathing in and breathing out, enjoying that touch. You can also move your hands to your arms as if you were hugging yourself and even give yourself a little squeeze. Or just let your hands rest there. Noticing the comfort that you might feel from this, almost a protective pose. Breathing in and breathing out. And you can bring your hands to your belly, just to allow your belly to relax. Even sometimes one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Some people like. Feeling the warmth and the comfort. If you like, you can even rub your belly a little bit. Sometimes that really helps when you're feeling anxious, just to give it that soothing comfort. Just giving it a little massage. And you can drop your hands into your lap on your legs with your palms facing down, and just allowing your hands to rest there. Noticing how this feels. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, whichever soothing touch you enjoyed the most, go ahead and place your hands there. And just close your eyes if they're not closed. And enjoy the sensation of this soothing touch. And notice whenever you're struggling or having a rough day, periodically you can just give yourself a soothing touch. With our eyes still closed, we're going to move into another practice called a self-compassion break. It's something that can be done quite quickly throughout your days. You don't even have to have your eyes closed for it. It has a few steps, 3 steps actually. So as you breathe in and breathe out, if you like, you can continue your soothing touch. Bring to mind perhaps the same situation we practiced earlier, the one that was tough, how you were helping a friend, and then suddenly it happened to you. So use this situation to bring to mind once again. Bring up the image of the people involved, the place, what happened, the tone of the room. Notice how you're feeling. Perhaps there's tension in your body. And we begin with this first step of comfort. Just noticing. This is hard. This is really hard. It's hard. It's tough. Just naming it sometimes relieves us of tension. Bringing it out in the open. We can understand that shining the light on your experience helps bring it out in the light. Almost when we're a small child and we get comforted by our parents. So the first step is naming it. This is hard. The second step is common humanity. Everybody struggles at times. I'm not alone. It won't last forever. I know there are others at any given time who are also having a rough time. And if we know this time with COVID and everything going on, collectively we are struggling. Collectively, we need a self-compassion break. We need this soothing touch on a frequent basis. So we say, this is awful, this is hard, but I'm not alone. Everybody struggles. There is some soothing involved with that understanding. And then the last step is, what do I need? What do I need right now? Maybe it's just a self-compassion break with a soothing touch. Maybe it's a break, a 5-minute break from work or at your desk or at your computer. Maybe you need to breathe a few breaths. Maybe you're tired or hungry. Whatever it might be, you can do it for yourself. And if you can't do it right this minute, make a plan. Well, maybe later today. If you're a parent struggling to work with your kids at home, maybe doing your job as well, little mini breaks for all of you would be really, really helpful. This kind of thing can be modeled out loud as you do it for your kids as well. They learn from us. They notice from us. They notice us taking time to take care of ourselves and making that normal. And then the last thing that I'll be talking about here is something called loving kindness, which is a part of mindfulness and mindful self-compassion. So, this is the idea that we all have a negativity bias. It's like that old adage where, negative things stick like Velcro and positive, happy things fall off of us like Teflon. We know that we're wired as humans to have a negative bias. That's what helped us evolve. That's what's helped us stay safe all of these years. But unfortunately, the more we focus on what's negative and awful and wrong, the bigger that pathway in our brain gets. And that's what we notice instead of balancing it out with positive, kind, more pleasant things. Loving kindness does not mean that you just ignore and pretend everything's okay. We use mindfulness to notice what's really happening in our life. And then we can apply loving kindness when we need a break. We can use it every day to plant these seeds of kindness, to grow them. Noticing my little sign here, happiness blossoms where seeds of kindness have been thoughtfully planted. There are scientists who actually study happiness, which to me seems rather fun. And it's this idea that happiness doesn't happen by accident. We can train our mind once again for happiness, to look for the good and the beautiful and the wonderful. We can also pay attention to what's not okay, pay attention to what is unpleasant and wrong. But we can balance it so that we aren't all loaded down with the negative and the unpleasant. No matter who you are or what your circumstances are, there is always something you can be grateful for, something that you can be happy about and appreciative of. And I think Viktor Frankl illustrates that very well. You can take everything away from a human, but you still can't control their minds. We have that power of our mind to use it in a way that produces happiness for ourselves and for others. So these are called loving kindness wishes. There's all kinds of wishes. Many people make them for themselves, depending on what they need to hear. But the practice, the mindfulness meditation practice, actually involves quite a few steps, of which I will only be walking you through one tonight. But it does involve you being able to wish others in your life happiness and kindness, which could be someone you love, someone that you barely know. It can be extended out to the community and to the world. It can be extended to wherever you feel like the loving kindness seeds need to be planted. And we know right now we need to do a lot of planting, a lot of spreading the seeds of kindness in our actions and our thoughts, taking care of ourselves, meeting our needs with mindful self-compassion, and practicing this loving kindness. So this is how it goes. We can close our eyes once again, and you can take a breath in. By now, you might be getting really used to this in your chair, feeling your feet on the floor, allowing your attention to gently rest on your breath, almost as a rocking and soothing motion as you breathe in and you breathe out. Breathing in, breathing out. I recommend you place your hand or hands on your heart as a further way to connect physically with yourself, to feel that warmth, to feel your heartbeat. And you can give yourselves whatever wishes you might need right now. I'll begin by giving you these standard wishes. May you be happy. And you can repeat that to yourself after me. May you be happy. And so you can say, may I be happy. Feel that settle into you. Imagine yourself happy and carefree as you breathe in and breathe out and wish yourself happiness. Then you can wish yourself, may I be healthy. Feeling the health the seeds of health if you're not healthy right now. Planning the self-care of healthiness. It could be mentally, physically, emotionally. Wishing yourself these seeds of health. May I be safe. You can be physically safe, emotionally safe, mentally safe. Wishing yourself safety. May I live with ease and joy. Noticing what it would feel like to you and look like to have ease in your life, to have joy in your life. As you breathe in and out, we often do 3 rounds of this loving kindness, wishing ourselves happiness, health, safety, and ease and joy. Maybe you would like to hear other words. Maybe you would like to wish yourself to accept yourself just as you are. Wish yourself strength and wisdom. Whatever it might be that you think you need right now, that you need to hear, you can tell yourself whatever you need to hear as you breathe in and breathe out. Again, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live with ease and joy. You could even have a little smile on your face, a little twinkle in your eye as you finish and open your eyes. Take a moment to notice how this feels to you. Did you accept it? Did you reject it? Did it feel pleasant or unpleasant? Everybody experiences these differently. Be kind and gentle with yourself as you work through this kind of loving wishes. So that brings us towards the end of our program, but I would like to share with you a little bit of what we have to offer at the Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness. I just gave you such a little snippet of what mindfulness is and what mindful self-compassion is. And if you're interested, you feel this would benefit you, you can explore that on our website, Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness. We offer all-day retreats, which is generally not for the beginner. We have mindful eating. We have tools for self-kindness, taming your inner bully, resilience, bending without breaking. And we know mindfulness and mindful self-compassion builds resilience. It builds strength. We have the classic mindfulness-based stress reduction. And then the class I teach, mindful parenting, the theme is presence, not perfection. At the end of this program, I believe the library will post how to contact us. So you can come back to that. But just remember Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness. And then my youth program called Teens Just Breathe. I also teach middle school and high school right now. I was teaching elementary until COVID happened. I'm just finishing up the middle school series, and I will be starting the high school series in October. And I still have a little bit of room. I'd also like to mention that in mid-October, I'll begin a free virtual weekly drop-in meditation for teens. So you can go to Teens Just Breathe to find out more about that and register and get the Zoom link. So Grand Rapids Center for Mindfulness is where I am affiliated, the parent master company, and then mine is working with youth. In case you'd like to take a look at the contact information once again, you'd like to explore more, I've always found for me that a teacher is so helpful to help me learn and help me to establish a practice, because like anything, it's hard to get these practices going on your own. There are apps out there that you can check out that are really, really good. So if you're really busy and you just don't want to take the time or have the time, then maybe the app is the way for you to get started. Insight Timer, Calm, Headspace, 10% Happier. Those are all really great ways to get yourself going. So John Kabat-Zinn is a quote from him. Mindfulness is a way of befriending ourselves and our experience. John Kabat-Zinn was the founder of modern day mindfulness in the United States. It began with a small little clinic study, and it's expanded throughout the world now. We have science that's telling us that it benefits our health, our mental health. We know that it's practiced in education to help bring some calm and reduce stress, in government, in business. I mean, I think it's everywhere now. Probably your doctor might have brought it up and recommended it to you. So it's spread immensely. It's quite accessible in very, very many places. So again, my name is Cheryl Blackington. I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. I am at the end of it, and I will turn it back to the library to finish this off.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. That was fantastic. All of these practices and strategies that you've given, I feel, are so important, especially right now during COVID, when stress levels are at an all-time high. So thank you again for joining us this evening. This was the third in our 4-part Live and Learn lecture series that take place Monday nights at 6. Please join us next week to hear travel tales and different travel tips, including how to navigate traveling during COVID with author and blogger Laura Holmes. I hope you guys all have a great night, and this is a really good opportunity for us and for me as an employee of KDL to practice our loving kindness wishes. So KDL will wish you happiness, health, safety, and ease and joy. I hope you guys all have a great and wonderful night.